Alright, this is my tutorial for making a track for the rider to go underwater. Right here we just have a couple of stuff going on here. We have a linear data source with the end, the one tick. We have an on-off state event for each one of the events. We're going to have the rider invulnerability, to this, and then we're also going to tie this with another set of on-off triggers. We're going to uncheck this box. I'm going to say bike also. So when an event is active, the start time will trigger on and off. So this will be disabled, and this will be disabled to make the rider be invincible as soon as it starts. Okay, and the reason why I want this is so the rider can go underwater. So now we're going to be tying this to a trigger. And the trigger is going to be an on hit to say to this, to this, to this. Now the rider's going to go underwater. We're going to have another event when it goes underwater. Really underwater though. On. This is for camera past effect. This is for the camera exposure. Not the camera exposure, this is for like an effect for the lens, the 2D lens. It's gonna have an effect. Most in video game design, cameras will have like an effect, like if you turn on a certain vision, it's just a trick. The environment does not have any effect with the vision. It's the vision that has the effect with the environment that overlaps the screen as a different filter, as a different lens. Like you're putting on night vision or thermal to see the environment around you. The environment has nothing to do with the goggle itself, just like in real life. When you activate night vision, it makes you see better at night, but the real life programmabilities don't have any effect. Well, I don't know. Well, let's just go for this. See, I'm invincible. This is amazing, but I don't want this camera. Alright. You see this? Now I'm underwater, you see? Now I'm out of the water, woohoo! Now, how can we make this more realistic? So obviously the camera, we're gonna put it down here, because we want the camera to do a transition, right? And then we want to transition it out of here, obviously, whenever this goes by. So we're gonna go underwater. Around here. Now, what you could do too, you see how the water has its own sound source? If you go to, not substance color, but you can go to advanced settings, it should have its own sound source. I guess it doesn't have its own sound source. It's very strange. The substance has the color, but it should have its own sound source. We can have the object gravity. How much gravity should affect this object? Disable world gravity. No, that's not what we want. So this collision sound can be turned off. So when we turn off collision sound, let's see what happens. There shouldn't be any sound with this collision. You ready? You see? Whoa, you know what I mean. Alright, so, so some objects in the Trials world doesn't have a sound source for the underwater effect. It's just an automatic trigger. You could always use a separate sound source, but we're not going to do that in this video. We're just going to make the post effect off, so the camera filter can realize that we're not underwater anymore. And then we're going to adjust more invincibilities. So you don't. I want the rider to become invincible anymore, right? So so we're going to select the off trigger, and we're going to select the next off trigger again. And then now we're going to have object gravity, which we're going to have another state event or two, and on and off. Let's say this one's on. And now we're going to have object on a gravitational pull where it's underwater, where it affects at a different pace. So what we're going to have is we're going to have an area effector pushing gravity downwards with a square. We're going to adjust the square to the square environment, but only underneath the water. Adjusting the square a little bit more, alright. So something happened to our object. So we're gonna go to Object Finder and try to find our area effector. Okay. Sort by name. Now we're going to say disabled. Or for setting, let's say we're going to do 10,000. We're going to say on off. Sorry, a little amateur mistake right there. Alright, so we have that's our on. So off. Let's test out our underwater tray stage. When I go, there's a lot of pressure pulling us down here. So that's how you adjust gravity underwater in a really bad way. Because it was underwater, I didn't care. Alright. See? Object gravity. Alright, so the off trigger is now working here. So how about we do this? Okay, how about we do this? How about we do a invert start checkpoint? Okay, so there's a way to reset these settings in a trick right here that I've learned. What we're going to do is after this, we're going to select a Alright, so we're going to select a we're going to select a player event. Then we're going to select a visibility event. And the visibility event will make this visible. Now this will become visible when the rider enters to this, obviously. When the rider comes in contact with this trigger, it will go to this trigger. And then we'll do some settings on this player event. It's going to say, doesn't accumulate a fault, resets physics. We're going to go to checkpoint 2, restart and checkpoint. And that should reset our physics. Let's see if that works. Crash, you see? Let's do this. On hit. Tap the gas, tap the gas, tap the gas, tap the gas, tap the gas. Reset. Crash. See, it always, because it's going to reset the settings. There should be other ways of doing this. Obviously, I want this to be invisible. And then it was visible, you say. Now that's just a way how to make an underwater stage. There obviously could be better ways of doing this, but I never found any tutorial on the internet that tells you how to build an underwater stage. So if you want to know how to build underwater and make sure so you have to go underwater with your own gravity pulling you down, this is just an example video. Obviously if I tweaked it a little bit better and made my track a little bit better, it would be better. But this is just an example video to help people to make a track to go underwater, so you have the invincibility for the Reich and the Biter. If you want a post effect underneath with the camera lens, you can have that too. Obviously there's different ways around that too. Using custom cameras is a better way of doing this, because the custom camera, you can it's a different camera, right? And then you can make it so the camera follows the rider, and so you could have the custom camera replacing the camera that follows the rider anyway. So you could even animate your own camera at the speed of the rider as a trigger as well. So I hope this guide helped, and I hope to see more underwater stages, and I'll see you on my next tutorial. Alright.